What a powerhouse we've got here. Kon Stathopoulos. Wow. David Walker. Listen, if you wanted to get rid of the industry in New South Wales, you'd knock these two people out, because between the two of them, they've got so many heavy hitters there. Warwick, good to see you as well. And you know what I'm excited about? I'm excited about when I see that local agent finder logo back again, red and white, back. We know what we're all about, helping consumers find their agent, and in turn, agents find their listings. And both these two gentlemen are very, very strong users of your service and have been. If I can remember, it was Con that said you should have a chat with Tom, and then we met at Hungry Grasshopper with, at the time, Richard. And and I'm glad that it's back. And David, by the way, David, congratulations. I believe you continue to hold the title in that great group of the Ray White Group, #1 around the world. How many offices you got now?
We've got 10, Tom.
Okay. Con, how many have you got? How many?
Up North Shore.
How many you got, Con?
7.
7. Can I ask both you gentlemen, are you participating in a Super Saturday in January? Are you doing the Boxing Day soft launch, or you're not doing it this year?
We kind of brought it to the market, so we're absolutely doing it. So we had 149 this year, and our goal is 200 auctions on January the 31st, launched on Boxing Day. We've already got, I think, 25 or 30 listed. So, yeah, it's going to be a big one for us.
Yeah, well, I've got to say to you that this morning at that cafe, vendor said to me, Tom, I'm putting my home on the market on the 20. He said to me, he wanted to book me for an auction. I said, you do it through the agent. He's actually going with McGrath, so there's a chance I might not be doing it, because McGrath, I mean, like I do, if I've got to do them, we do them. But he said to me, I said to him, why are you doing it in February? And I said, wouldn't you come back when the buyers come back, not when the vendors come back? And he said, say that again. I said, wouldn't you be coming back when the buyers come back, not when other vendors come back? And he said, yeah. He said, when did the buyers come back? I said, they come back on the 26th of December. I said, they're not around on the 20th of December, but they're there on the 26th of December. He goes, oh, no, they're physically not there. I said, no, they're not there physically, but they're scrolling there. They're scrolling there, right? So, yeah, Dave, do you do the same or not?
We don't at the moment. I've been watching Con's business, like Con and I are good mates. I've been seeing the success that they've had with it. We generally launch things early January and try and give ourselves a little bit of a break over the Christmas period, but I can see the benefits in doing it.
Okay. So, gentlemen, this obviously is a top-of-mind awareness to everyone that Local Agent Finder is back as Local Agent Finder. But in addition to that, to let you know some of the scripts and dialogues and responses that these great thought leaders would have hearing this time of the year. So I just want to, and by the way, can I ask you both, what do you both love about Local Agent Finder? That's a good question.
Dave, do you want to kick off?
We've been using it for years, and I must say we're not getting paid for this, so we're not here to use any sort of pay. I'm definitely not. Okay, I'll talk about that after. But no, I've been as a business, we've been using Local Agent Finder for years now. I wouldn't even know, probably 7-8 years. And it's good because we are getting leads generally from people who we don't have relationships with. So it's people out in the market that might be making a decision pretty quickly. There's not too many people that have good relationships with agents that are then jumping onto this unless they're just getting a sort of an overview of the marketplace. But we use it because we see it as a good source of qualified people who are about to sell their home.
Beautiful. Tom?
Tom, we've been clients of Local Agent Finder for many, many years, and mirroring what David said, what we love about our relationship with Local Agent Finder is that it, particularly for the agents that don't have a start in a market, Local Agent Finder gives them a start, and then they can go on and leverage that and build, their relationships and their market share in that community. And we had a great case study of Kim McCleary, one of our partners, that 5 years ago got one lead in Kings Langley, out in the western suburbs of Sydney, and she was writing about 400K at the time. She writes under 2 million, just under 2 million right now. She's become a partner in the business and has 40% plus market share in Kings Langley, and it all started from one Local Agent Finder lead. So if you run the process and you're open to sharing a little bit of your commission as a once-off, and you can really, basically get a good run in.
And Con, the paying the Local Agent Finder their fee, they only get paid a fee when you get more or less 80% of the fee. Like, that's probably, it's one of the few businesses that are suppliers to the industry that you only pay on success. Like, we can't do that with our brochures. We can't do that with realestate.com. We can't do that with any of our marketing. We can't say, hey, if we get paid, we'll pay our bill, right? With these guys, you only pay if you get paid, right?
Correct. And I think sometimes that can be the mental stumbling block for some agents. They don't want to have to pay for a lead. I don't look at it like that. It's an investment into building a relationship that starts conversations in your community that give you the ability to open something up on a Saturday and meet buyers and, start that leverage process. So no, we're big fans of Local Agent Finder. Warwick's been an absolute gentleman to deal with, and the team there, and we will continue that relationship for a long time.
Warwick is local. In my eyes, Warwick is Local Agent Finder.
Agreed.
Right? In fact, if they should have actually just changed it to Warwick instead of Rumour, they would have had a better run. But listen, gentlemen, I want to ask you, some of the things that we're hearing at the moment from the marketplace, from prospective vendors is, I'm not ready to sell right now. We'll wait till after Christmas. Just curious, what's the response that, you're instructing your team, or what are your good agents saying there? Because, I know a lot of the times that these vendors that come back after Christmas do put it on the market, but they might change their mind on who they're going to give it to over Christmas. They talk to a lot of people. They might speak to the butcher, who's their uncle, that tells them, listen to me, I'll tell you who to give it to, right? So what's the response there, gentlemen?
I think this time of year is fantastic because there's a deadline. So if you're a person wanting to sell in the market, and look, I want to start by saying you can't force somebody to sell when they're not ready to sell. So it's people who are on the fence about selling that may or may not, if you can persuade them, if you can give them a good reason to. This time of year, we've got still 4 to 5 weeks of good selling. There's sort of 5-6 Saturdays before we get to Christmas. So if you're thinking about selling, the buyers in the marketplace right now, the pool of buyers that are there, they want to make a decision before Christmas. Whereas once you get into February, March, people sort of go, okay, we've got time now. But buyers want to make a decision because they either want to get kids into school zones, or they just want to get it wrapped up by the end of the year so they can be in for the summer holidays and unpack while they're on their own holidays. So people are wanting to make decisions now, whereas I find January, February, most buyers are kind of brand new to the market, or they're going to give themselves some time to start looking. So there's not as much urgency. But also on the flip side, if you are wondering where are you going to go if you sell, this time of year, there's far more stock on the market because there's more buyers in the market. And so there's more choice for you as a seller of where to go. Whereas January, February, there's not as much stock on the market as what you find now. So at the moment, and then people that are on the fence and not really wanting to actively put their property on the market, we're still saying to them, let's get photos, let's get floor plan, because the pool of buyers that are buying right now, what if I could bring you a buyer to your house, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and get you an above market price that you'd be really happy with terms you're happy with. So let's get the marketing out of the way. And then if you do find something in the next few weeks, we can throw it on and get it sold. Or worst case scenario, we're ready to go in January.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, everyone. Can I give you the heads up? This is the time to get your phone ready to take a capture of a shot. I'm going to give you the exact script word for word that David more or less said, but I know what people are like. Can you say that again? Well, we'll give it to you right now. So we're waiting until after Christmas, the holidays. Here's your response. So if you can take a quick snapshot of that, I completely understand. Everyone wants to enjoy the holidays. The thing is, most sellers wait, which means that when everyone comes in January, you're competing with a flood of listings. Right now, serious buyers are still active and there's less competition. Would you be open to me showing what it looks like to have your campaign ready? So take a photo of that there. But in addition to that, just in Tom Panos lingo, I could say one of the things that you'd say is, listen, I think that's a good idea. I think you should actually do it next year. But how open would you be to actually not talking about selling next year? I'm not even talking about launching. I'm talking about we list now and we launch later, because what it does, we put your listing in our little top pocket. No one's not to know anymore. Someone that's sitting there at home scrolling on Boxing Day or, at some point sees your home. And what we do is we can get their attention. Kon, is there anything else? That was a good response, by the way, David. Is there anything else that you can extend on that?
I think that's why David's, at the top of his game in his market and in the industry. But I think you're absolutely right. Going back to what Dave said, the best time to list is when they're ready. Our job is to be able to qualify and be able to, de-risk them picking another agent over us. So it's about using strategy and innovation to be able to secure the listing, take it off the market. And it's, go now, go later, get ready now, go later. It's, off market, pre-market, soft launch. It's Super Saturday, launch on Boxing Day. We get to pick up all the buyers that missed out, in 2025. We get the new flood of buyers looking at 2026. You beat the market by getting your property live before anyone else and on the market. And we normally, get 30% extra open attendees and, at least 60% more views on the portal. So for me, it's all about ensuring that you're using strategy, innovation, but you're really, closing to take it off the market from anyone else taking it.
Okay, beautifully said, Con. I want to move on to the one about interest rates. There's people saying this, and interest rates have been a bit topical lately because on the 29th, when they announced the inflation figures, they didn't go to plan. So now all of a sudden they're talking about rates actually not going down at the rest of this year and potentially not even going down next year. But you and I all know that media changes by the week. We could be, there's some big event happens next week and they're saying, oh, no, rates are going to drop again. But let's see, let's wait till interest rates drop. What I might do is I've actually got a slide for that as well. So those of you that like to take photos of exact scripts and dialogues, we'll wait till interest rates drop. The challenge is when rates drop, demand surges. That means when more buyers competing, but also means more sellers are entering the market. If you wait, you'll likely buy and sell in a hotter market, meaning you'll pay more for your next home too. Sometimes the best move is to transact in the same market. So I think for nearly anyone that's buying and selling in the same market, particularly for those that are actually moving up to the next price point, it's actually, making a decision based on a temporary thing like rates is not the right thing, because in real estate, and I always use that term, people date interest rates, but they marry the property. The relationship, rates are going to go up and down at a 20-year relationship, a 30-year relationship that you've got with your mortgage. So I just think I don't know, guys, I've never understood people making a decision based on rate and the market, because if you're buying and selling, why wouldn't you make a decision based on your life, right? Not based on a factor that means that you're going to be in a revenue neutral position anyway. But what is the team, what's your response to that, where clients say, oh, we don't know what's happening with rates?
We see this in our market a lot, Tom. So we're in, obviously, from Parramatta to Blacktown, Castle Hill, Rouse Hill, Epping, Beecroft, the Hawkesbury. So, it's really interesting. I think I had a very, very, very good mentor very early on in life that said to me that emotion opens the heart, logic opens the mind. And I think when we go down that path of talking about something that, first of all, we're not in control of. Secondly, we can't impact or influence. And thirdly, people they're making long-term decisions based on short-term circumstances. So, I mean, we saw this last weekend. We had a bidder that didn't want to make a bid because they were a little bit unsure about what was going to happen with the inflation figures. And I said, but your finance approved right now and you're ready to go right now. Yes. Are you worried about what the rates are at 2038? So we can't make decisions based on what's going to happen in the future. We can make
Goals.
You can make decisions based on what's happening right now. So for me, it's about disarming the emotion and applying the logic. Okay, it's just like the same person that would say, oh, I can't buy this one. Why is that? My couch won't fit. Buy a new couch, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what we've got to be able to do is just kind of see through the objection, become masters at being able to read the play, disarming the emotion, applying the logic, and making it a very simple and easy way for people to transact. And I think that's the key that I'm seeing it from the best operators.
There's a lot of, listen, Con, there's a lot of faulty, I think about it. We take it as a given that I think a lot of people have got faulty thinking, and the job of a real estate agent is to nudge that thinking for them to look at it in the proper perspective. Example, there was an incident a few weeks ago where I was shocked that the vendor says, I never thought about that. Listen to what it was. It was like, I'm going to take it off the market, and I reckon within 2 years, the market will pick up, and then we'll get our price, and then we'll go off and buy the other property. And I said, are you going to put a lay-by on the other property? And he goes, no. And I go, so the other one's going to not go up and yours will go up? No, he goes, the other one will go up. And I said, so basically you'll be in the same situation. And he goes, oh, yeah, I never thought about that. And I said, it's even worse. You're actually going to be stuck here for 3 years and you don't want to be, right? So a lot of people have faulty thinking. Dave, is there anything you want to extend or add to that?
Oh, I agree with what you both just said. That the funny thing about interest rates, it's all, I think, it's a shot in the arm. And so interest rates drop. Realistically, it doesn't mean that all these buyers jump back into the market or people that weren't going to buy start buying. It's just the papers have a couple of days of a cycle. So I say to anybody, look, if interest rates drop, that's one thing. And obviously it's great because you can save a bit on your mortgage, but realistically you want a market stable. So if interest rates don't go up or don't go down, we can actually predict the market far easier. If the interest rates drop, we don't know how much it's going to surge, whether it's going to surge. So you can make decisions based on things you don't know. Whereas we know if interest rates stay stable, which they look like they will now next month, we can make decisions based on what we already know. So as an agent in a neutral market, at least we can make decisions based on fact.
Okay, well said. I already have an agent in mind, right? I already have an agent in mind. And this comes up, and I have to say, it also comes, sometimes you go to a listing presentation and an agent already has a pre-existing relationship with an agent, but they cheekily might call another couple out to sort of say, let's just see what they charge, because I want to keep my close mate honest. I'll see what the others have got to charge. But any great response that you've got for when you're talking to a client and they say, I sort of got an agent that I have in mind?
Sorry, the one thing
Sorry,
you go, David. One thing I would say not to do is actually talk another agent down. I had an agent in my area yesterday knock on the door of a vendor I've got listed and tried to talk negatively about me. Now that agent, the vendor couldn't believe it and has already gone and told all their friends how disgusted they were with that person. So the one thing you shouldn't be doing is ever talking down another agent. So that's the one thing I'd start with. But all I'd say is there a chance for me to throw my hat in the ring? Fully respect loyalty, fully respect you got a relationship, but we've got some good runs on the board. Love to have a chat with you if there's an opportunity.
Beautiful. In fact, David, if you've got anything to extend, I
think this is all about working with class. Okay, there's an expectation that we're gonna chase every single listing and whatnot. We forget about the relationships that people have. So from my perspective, obviously do your job by asking whether or not they're open to another opinion or a fresh opinion or or a different strategy that might get them, sold. But I think the people that work with class are the ones that end up winning.
Con,
Couldn't agree more.
the minute I have anyone that bags anyone, the first thing I think to myself, you're jealous. That's my instant reaction. I think to myself, for you to say that, there's something that really, really bugs you, right? And I automatically, in my mind, decrease the attractiveness of that person. I'm not just talking about real estate. I'm talking about any person. Jealousy is a terrible characteristic of people.
You also got to play the long game with this, Tom, right? So from my perspective, do you know how many transactions we do with our competitors? We do, conjunction agency agreements because vendors want to work with both. So I look at it and I go, you're shortening the longevity of your reputation in your market. You're also cancelling out any potential future revenue income. You're essentially positioning yourself as an unclassy agent and human being, but also just be a good human being. This is a very simple business. It's not an easy business, but I would love to do a conjunction with one of my competitors if that's going to be the best outcome for the client. Rather than chasing the outcome, let's just do the right thing. And I know I'm being a little bit philosophical and holistic, but the reality is good people that do good things have a lot of good that happens to them. So don't over-engineer this. Let's not try to, just kind of sniper everything and everyone. Let's just get in there and see what's the best outcome for the client. I'd love to help you, Tom. I'd love nothing more than to be able to give you my opinion and maybe a fresh approach on a different strategy that might get you a better result. But look, if you're really happy with David's a really good guy. We've done some work before. I'll leave you in great hands. It's not that hard.
Listen, Con, and also go, David.
I was just going to say, and I think everyone now sees through the whole, I've got a buyer. I know you're about to list with something, but I've got a buyer I want to show through. Everyone just sees through that now. It's the laziest way of trying to win a listing. I think what most agents think. I'm going to tell somebody I've got a buyer and then I've got to come up with somebody to take through there. If you've got a buyer, then contact their agent that they've already chosen. But actually, if you want to win a listing over an agent, give some good reasons why you've got a point of difference and how you're actually going to do the client the best service. Yeah. But I think if you just get an opportunity to throw your hat in the ring and say, I'll give you another opinion. It's going to take me 20 minutes. The worst you can get is a no. And I'd really appreciate it. You've got a great house, and I actually think the agent that you've chosen is a really good person. So good luck with it. If it doesn't work out, and I'm sure it will, but if it doesn't, give me a call.
You know what, Dave? I heard a vendor say to a competing agent, and the vendor actually ended up picking us, that said, the agent said, I've got a buyer. And he goes, well, I would expect you to have a buyer. You're a real estate agent, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, right, is buyers don't follow real estate agents. They follow property. So there's no one that's got a secret little buyer in their pocket that they can shield with an invisible force field around every other listing. So when you actually read it back to you, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? I've got a buyer. Well, what about I've got a strategy that I can prove to you in 20 minutes if you give me the opportunity that will deliver you an above market premium price? Would that be okay for me to be able to share that with you?
That's beautifully said. And you're spot on. In fact, I don't think it's a bad idea to actually say to the vendor that says, about an agent having a buyer, saying, hey, listen, I want to ask you, Mr. Vendor, when you bought this house, did you go to one real estate agent and say, I'm not going to look with anyone else. I won't look on realestate.com. I won't look at Domain. I will only look with you, even if there's other properties out there. Did you do that? The minute you say that to them, they'll realize how false that comment is, and it normally comes from a false Freddy. Talking about agent rivalry and, people bagging others, something weird happened on Tuesday. I think, David, you might even know him. I've got a client called Andrew Harding at Darwin, right? And I hadn't seen him in ages. He owns Ray White at Darwin, right? And he dropped me off to the office called Real Estate Central, so Real Estate Central and Ray White Darwin are the two biggest offices in Darwin. They control the market. So he's the principal there. And he drops me off and he says, I go, thanks. Because the reason he dropped me off, it was 40 degrees heat in Darwin, right? So he's dropped me off there. And I walked in and he's followed me in. I go, are you coming in? He goes, yeah. And then he goes, I'll just come in and say hi to guys. And I just gave myself a drink. It's bloody hot out there. He walked into the office as if he was a salesperson. And they go, hey, there's Harding. How are you, bro? And they're fist pumping there. And he walked in straight into the kitchen. And I thought to myself, that doesn't happen in the metro areas. Like I mean, if anything, you feel like having a slingshot at a guy if they're across the road, right? But I think you can be successful. You can have a good life and get on with competitors if they're decent people.
That's the way it should be, Tom. Like that's what Con and I talk about this all the time. Like in theory, on paper, Con and I shouldn't like each other from what real estate was like 10 years ago, but we're best of mates because we're doing the same stuff. We go through the same things. We've got the same problems. We've got the same wins. So we probably, as you said earlier, if you've got a chip on your shoulder, you're going to look at other people that are having success and get jealous. Whereas if people in my marketplace that are doing well, I look at them going, good on you. Like you're working hard and you're doing well, and that's great. And you know what, like you look at everyone else around our industry, there's people doing well, people that are struggling. You want to help the people struggling, but you got to look at people doing well and going, I applaud you. You might not be the style of agent that I would list with, but you're doing well in your marketplace. So good on you.
But also,
and that's the way our industry should be.
I think the other thing is too, is if you're allowing your competitors to kind of, take, rent space in your brain, you're already letting them win. So I don't look at competition as a competitor. I'm in my lane. I'm focusing on what I can control. And, good luck to you. If you get that listing, man, we weren't good enough this time around, but hopefully we'll learn from it. We'll become better. And I think also we tend to play the short game. You want longevity in this industry, you've got to have great relationships. You've got to have a great reputation that's bulletproof within the agent community and the agency community, but also with obviously the community too. So I don't know how it serves you to, I hate David Walker because he's Ray White or he's in my market. Mate, good luck to Dave. Let him run his own race. You run your own race.
Actually, you work better if you actually like your competitors. Because when you lose a listing, you don't go, I lost it because they did a cheaper fee or they must have overquoted. You go, they beat me because they were better. They're a good person. I've got to be better next time.
Spot on.
I think you either look at life with eyes of abundance or you look at life with eyes of scarcity. Scarcity is about being a zero-sum game. Basically saying is, if my competitor wins, I lose. Whereas the reality is, if you turn around and look at abundance and say, they can make money their way, I can make money my way, and we're all happy, right? You don't have to, have someone lose for you to win. Now, as people have been watching this, if you're feeling inclined that you'd like to get a few catch and kill extra listings a month that you're not getting, thank you, Susan. She's read my mind. That is the link there, localagentfinder.com.au. And I would suggest that you had zero to lose. Think about it. What have you got to lose except get a listing? The way the deal works is you get 80% of the fee. Local Agent Finder gets 20% of the fee. We always know the hardest bit is getting the lead, and it is maxed out at around $5,000. Is that right, Warwick?
Yeah, 4,750, Tom.
4,750. And Warwick, thank you for putting on this event today. We're obviously trying to encourage everyone to understand what Local Agent Finder is doing, and we've got two of the best real estate thought leaders in Australia supporting it. And in addition to that, I'm going to remind everyone that Christmas is on the 25th of December, not the 25th of October, not the 25th of November. And the reason I say it is we have a lot of 9-month agents in Australia, particularly in Victoria. Melbourne Cup's here, sun's out, guns out, life's good. We'll come back after Australia Day. Listen, there are people transacting. I'm not a big fan of auctions on the 20th of December, right? Just in previous years. But up until the 20th of December, right, up until the 20th of December. People want to do deals. And I got to say, team, there is no better feeling in real estate from what agents tell me when they go on break and they know that they're coming back to stock that's secured, that they're going to launch, and they're not going to come back with the belt on their stomach being tight. It's going to be tight. Everyone puts on 1 to 2, 3 or Ks over the summer in Australia, New Zealand. But you want to come back with your belt a bit tight, but you want to come back with listings that are launching. And you know what? That's happening right now because there's a special rule in real estate. It's called the 30-day rule. And it says that what you do in this 30 days affects the next 90 days. 2026 has already started, ladies and gentlemen. Warwick, thank you. David Walker, we'll be seeing you in Byron at some point over Christmas, now that you're a part-time local. And Kon Stathopoulos, thanks again. I still remember Kon, the day he joined McGrath many years ago. And John McGrath goes to me, Kon wasn't in the room, he goes, do you think he'll be good? I said, well, he's Greek, that's a start.
We're still using John, we're still hoping.
I'm trying, still learning always. Have a great Christmas, everyone.